Kevin, what are your thoughts and expectations going into the weekend at Kansas Speedway, considering the track has been repaved since the spring race where you finished sixth?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of unknowns leading into the race this weekend, but we'll have plenty of time to figure it out over the next couple of days. So we're going there. It's actually coming at a great time for us as, we obviously need to have a little more speed in our cars. So we've got a lot of things on the agenda to try to accomplish that and learn the racetrack at the same time and be able to have a good weekend and hopefully close out the year well.
Thanks, Kevin, and we'll now go to the media for questions for today's NASCAR Cam video teleconference guest, Kevin Harvick.
Thank you. The floor is now open for questions. If you do have a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad at this time. If at any time your question has been answered, you may remove yourself from the queue by pressing 1. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have a question or comment, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad at this time. Please hold while we poll for questions. Our first question comes from Brian Nelson of Motor Racing Network.
Hi, Kevin. Just wanted to ask you about your new competition director and how you think that might improve your team.
Well, I think obviously, when Scott Miller left, there's kind of been a void in that particular area of the company. So, as many of you know and you hear us preach all the time, this sport is really all about people. And I think for us, having Eric in that position will lead to some structure and some focus on a lot of things that we need to get better at. So just having somebody there on a daily basis is going to be a step in the right direction. And now it's all about putting a system into place that everybody buys into to lead everybody on a day-to-day basis and hopefully make things better.
All right, thank you, Kevin.
Our next question comes from Claire Lang of Sirius XM NASCAR Radio.
Thank you. Kevin, Mike Dillon told me, I think at Dover, that Dr. Warren was sort of waiting out a non-compete or whatever, but that he would be coming. So you haven't seen him really over there yet for 2013. What actually do you know about him, Kevin? I mean, have you met him? Have you had a chance to chat with him?
No, I have actually not met Eric. Obviously, heard a lot about him, and I've never worked with him before. So obviously, there's a relationship to have to build there and see his stance on a lot of things within the structure and the direction of the company. So we've just a lot of legal things that had to take place and looking forward to hearing what he has to say and where we're going.
And how much do you think that the testing the next couple of days will really affect, who's able to pull off a win at Kansas? It's sort of unique to have 2 days of testing before we go to the track.
Well, it's a situation where you look back at the Pocono races, you look back at Michigan. These races this race this weekend is probably going to be much of the same. I think with the restarts being very important, I think as we lead into the race and just really not knowing what to expect as you go into that first corner side by side for the first time as to how much grip is going to be there, as if you remember back to the first Pocono race. So there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of things that could go wrong. I think track position is going to be very important. Obviously with all the cars being on the racetrack, the groove should be fairly well burned in and hopefully as wide as it needs to be to get the race started. So we'll see. There's a lot on our agenda this week to try to make our own cars go better, and I think when it comes race time, it's going to be about restarts and strategy.
Hey, good luck this weekend. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question comes from Jerry Fraley of the Dallas Morning News.
Hey, Kevin. I know you focus on your team and what your team is doing, but I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on the Dillon brothers? If you had any chance to watch them compete or anything strike you about them?
Well, obviously they've done a really good job with with the divisions that they've raced in and won championships and with the nationwide stuff and the truck stuff and the ARCA stuff. I think both of them have a good opportunity to take their career all the way up the ranks. So it's been fun to watch. They're good kids, and you know, like to race, and it's fun to watch them get better.
Make you feel old at all?
Make me feel old? Well, I mean, yeah, you know, it's you know, for me, you know, I remember back to where I was 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, and you know, you look back at you know, the opportunity that they have with the equipment that they have, and they respect that, and they know the opportunity and the things that they have in front of them. So it's fun to see that young enthusiasm, and you seeing them start your career, the first half of their career, and I'm starting the second half of my career. So it's fun to have that, you know, those difference of generations there, and how the approach is different from one to the other.
Thanks very much.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question comes from Ben Montadonico of Bleacher Report.
Hey, Kevin, I was wondering, in light of everything that happened with Dale Jr. and the 2 concussions he had in a very short period of time, do you think there's anything NASCAR can do to try to take maybe more of a proactive approach when it comes to sidelining drivers who have health concerns like that?
Well, I know for us at RCR, we already have baseline scans, you know, that we put in place a couple years ago, and you know, so we have some things that Richard has made us put in place already. So it's just a matter of, you know, what the team does, and you know, how it's supposed to be structured, and how far you want to take it. So it's a fine balance, and you know, I think obviously when Dale Jr. has a situation like this, you know, everybody's looking at it a little bit differently than they have in the past.
So, for example, if you were to get into an accident and you felt like you maybe weren't feeling quite right, there's people at the team that check you out and let you know if you can go racing or not?
Well, you know, you have to. First thing you have to do is you know, with yourself is to realize that there's a problem. So, you know, we've all been banged up or hurt in the past, and had to you know, decide exactly what was wrong, and so in order to do that, you have to go to the doctor, and you have to, you know, report that to NASCAR. So in the end, it's ultimately our own responsibility to take those actions.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Dwight Drum of Racetake.com.
Thank you. Kevin, starting out the chase, they got 480 points with the 10 races, and now it's 240 possible points for the next 5 races. Obviously, chase points are certainly precious, and it's you know, it's tough to catch up, and you know, for a team when they fall behind. But you know, if one of the leaders you know, certainly has a very bad day, all of a sudden you guys can catch up. Do you guys? How does the points? How do these points affect your mindset going into the next race?
Well, you know, I really think for 99% of the guys, the approach is going to be to go out and run as fast as you can. Our approach really doesn't change. You know, we're going to bring the best car we have in the shop, and we're going to put an effort into it the same every week to go out and try to win the race. And if you can't win the race, you try to get the best finish that you can. So that approach, you know, they could put 500 points out there, they could put 4 points out there, and we're going to go and try to, you know, win every week. So, you know, a lot of people talk about points and approaches and what do you change and what do you do different. We don't do anything different. We go to the racetrack every week to take the fastest car and try to win the race.
Thanks, Kevin. Good luck at the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you do have a question or comment, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad at this time. Our next question comes from Robert DeRogie of BRD Broadcasting.
Thank you. You know, Kevin, this year we had a lot of tracks that were repaved, like Michigan, making it so fast. Then next year it'll be racing with a new 2013 car. Heck, man, I'm just wondering, does that mean no time off, no vacation because of preparing for things like new cars and new racing surfaces?
Well, we did do a lot of testing this year with all the new surfaces for sure, and you know, I think with the 2013 stuff coming, you know, they've opened the testing policy up. We still have the other racetracks that we can go test at to work things out. It's definitely going to be a a time management issue and not putting your team behind. And right now we don't really exactly know what the rules are on the 2013 car, so you're really not able to get too far ahead of the game because the rules aren't set. So there will definitely be a mad scramble at the beginning of the year to get on the racetrack and understand the car and get your simulation and all the things that the engineers need to work with. You have to be on the racetrack and you have to get things headed in the right direction. So it's definitely going to be a lot of work, and you're definitely right that the off season could be pretty short.
Thanks, Kevin. Hope you have a good race at Kansas and also the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Bob Pockrass of the Sporting News.
Yeah, Kevin, I'm just curious what of the changes announced today as far as some qualifying procedures for next year. Is it a big deal that qualifying orders based now on the random draw again and the top 35 rule going away in favor of kind of the old style qualifying you had in the past?
Well, I think there's a lot of other rules that we might be able to go back on some old style things too. I think those are all good changes. I think as you go into Daytona and you see things get mixed up for the qualifying races, and just having the top 35 rule go away if somebody shows up and qualifies good, and the practice stuff was so hard for the guys to be able to come to the racetrack in race trim, and you switch, and then you had the sandbagging going on, so that rule just didn't really work. And I think with the qualifying draw, it really adds some drama back into the qualifying order, just for the fact that if you get a bad draw and you have the fastest car and you go out early and you qualify 20th, you're going to have the fastest car in the back of the field or the middle of the field. So I'm in favor of all the things they did. I think there's definitely some more work ahead to get things where everybody wants them. But NASCAR did a great job with these rule changes.
I assume that you feel that if you can't be in the top 36 in qualifying speed and you're low enough in points not to get a provisional, and you have maybe, I guess, bigger problems than just kind of one race.
Yeah, and I think when you look back at it, I don't think it's really going to change much if you go. I'm sure you've run the number, Bob. I'm sure you've gone through this and look back and see if it would have changed anybody not making the race at any particular point. But it's it's something where I don't think it's going to change much, but I think it opens the door for new people to come in and make the races and make that a little bit easier than just locking the top 35 cars in.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Patrick Levy of NASCAR Productions.
Hey, how you doing, Kevin?
Good.
Just looking ahead to Martinsville next week. Clint earlier mentioned that it's a wild card in the chase. I just want to know if you felt the same way about Martinsville.
Well, I think Kansas is much more of a wild card than Martinsville at this point. I think look, any race can be a wild card. I mean, you can have some crazy things happens that we've seen in the past, and whether it's Martinsville or Kansas repave or going to Homestead, and Phoenix is still a relatively new racetrack. I really think that every race is a wild card at this point, especially if you're in a championship race and need every point that you can get. So you never know what's going to happen, when the caution is going to fly, blow a tire, track come up, whatever the case may be. Anything can happen.
All right, thanks, Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Our next question comes from Brett Winningham of TheRacingWheel.com.
Kevin, this weekend we qualify on Friday as opposed to on Saturday. As a driver, which do you prefer and why?
I'm really in favor of the Friday qualifying sessions, just for the fact that you get that hour and a half of practice, and you can really focus on one thing, and that's qualifying. And you don't have the guys. Really, it's about the guys working on the car, in my opinion, and the amount of times they have to switch the car from qualifying trim to race trim, back to qualifying trim, back to race trim. So it's there's a lot more going on Saturday when you can have two practices for the race, and you're closer to race day, so you can get your car adjusted a little bit better. So Friday sessions, in my opinion, are the way to go.
And my next question is, what are maybe some of the things you as a driver to prepare for a race weekend where you test Wednesday and Thursday and then resume regular schedule Friday through Sunday?
Yeah, you know, for us, this test is coming at a good time. We've got a lot of things that we have in our minds that are questions of whether they're right or wrong, and going to Kansas this week with a couple days of testing, we're able to run through those things with data on the car and be able to look at the things that are happening to the car on the racetrack. So having that telemetry and being able to look at that and I think we'll be able to try some things that we normally wouldn't be able to try on a race weekend and be able to take those things into a race weekend at Kansas.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Kevin, and good luck this weekend in Kansas.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Ben Montadonigo of Bleacher Report.
Hey, Kevin, you said there's some other rules that you think that NASCAR could go back to the old, I guess you said the old rules they could go back to. I was wondering if you could elaborate on that at all.
Well, you know, I don't think that there's, you know, one particular thing that I'd like to elaborate on. I might voice my opinion to the NASCAR folks, but I don't think it's, you know, I don't think it's any one thing in particular. I think, you know, as far as scheduling and racetracks, I think we all have our own opinions on what they should be. But in the end, you know, those are NASCAR decisions, and I don't want to be the politician on all this stuff.